So, INFP, how have you been doing in quarantine? It seems to me like everybody's going crazy, but secretly, it's been great. Hey, I'm Brittany Shannon, and are you an INFP in lockdown? If so, this video is for you. So, as this world seemingly is crumbling right now, and we're all forced to be away from each other in lockdown and in quarantine, it's like this strange feeling of almost contentment has come over me. Calmness and stillness. Like, we are always soul searching and looking into the hidden meaning of things, but like in this moment, it feels like the entire world is just taking a quick inhale. Here we are as INFPs, just in amidst this chaos. I feel like we're probably one of the calmer types, because we're used to being in that moment between inhale and exhale, that kind of interstitial moment where anything is possible. And for me, it's in the stillness that my creativity comes. When I'm rushing around and I'm feeling frazzled, there is nothing worse. But it's in the times where, I just get to sit for a few minutes before I go to bed, or I get a moment to just space off and check out, that like I have my best revelations and most creative ideas. I think as INFPs, we are very well equipped to deal with what's going on. And I think that we can be most of service to others. We show them the fruits that can be reaped during this quarantine, lockdown, and chaotic period. Because we're used to doing some serious soul searching, there may be other types that have never really done this before or even stopped to do this. So I think this is a great way to show others that, hey, it's okay to delve in there and not like what you find. That's okay. That's part of you. But the moment you recognize it, you can work on it. This is the moment where we can show others the true meaning of what a healer is and fully step into our roles. What's interesting is that before this, I'm going to call it the long pause. Before this long pause, everybody is just rushing around, chasing after prestige, money, all of these things that I think most INFPs are like, it's not worth it. And in this long pause, it's almost like everything has been stripped away. You have the biggest stars and people that everyone looked up to right here recording on their phones, just like the rest of us. And seeing them in their own houses, doing their own hair, makeup. And there's something that is humbling about that. And I think it allows everybody to see that we're all in this together. Like, we are all the same. This moment, while certain MBTI types might find it a little more traumatic, I think INFPs are just like, yeah, of course. Of course the prestige and the money and the fame is not important, and nothing is really changed. But for others, their whole world has cracked. And I think it's important to not brush this aside and to recognize that for some people, that shift is traumatic, and then that's okay too. Because here is where we come in. Being the healer type, and this is a type I feel that is very underestimated, and for the most part, especially before this point in time, nobody really understood the need for this. Growing up, I really dealt with a lot of underestimation, and like as a kid, this shook me to my core because it always felt like no matter what I did, it was like behind a veil. Like nobody saw, and maybe once in a blue moon, someone would be like, "Oh wow, look what you did! Like that's amazing." And which is weird to me because I've always like tried my best no matter what. As an adult, I've learned to accept this underestimation or maybe this cloak, right? That just seems to kind of disguise what's going on. It's nice because as an adult, I realize I can kind of do whatever I want and I don't have to try and be like others or do whatever everyone else is thinking, and I can more so just put this cloak of normalcy on while I'm doing my own crazy thing. Because being myself is so radically different from, I guess, the norm or what people would expect. In this long pause, we've all had to ask ourselves, like, are you happy with who you are and what you are doing? And the thing is, I think for a lot of people, that answer is no, even for us INFPs, because again, like there's expectation and what you really want to do or be, and they very rarely match up. But for us, I think it's an easier inner knowing. For others, it may not be as much. So the healer steps in to point the way and say, hey, it's okay. Like, we accept you no matter what you want to do, what or who you want to be. And we accept all your faults, your failures, and just recognize it and work on it. You know, when all of that facade is stripped away from people and they're forced to be in their houses where they can't show this to everybody, what's really important? Why are you working towards something that you don't really want yourself, or that behind closed doors it doesn't matter anymore? Because if it was worth something, even if nobody could see it, it would be still worth pursuing if it really meant something to you. For me, it hasn't been as a radical shift in emotions, at least internally. Like what's been going on internally, the things that I've struggled with before are the same things I struggle with now. And that hasn't really changed because before this long pause, I recognized it before. I think the hardest thing to deal with is understanding how much hate and discrimination is in the world and in our country. That has probably been the hardest part. Take that all in, and all of the anger, the pain. I think seeing that to me was a little bit more disturbing than actually having to be in lockdown and to myself. Everyone is being questioned to find what is truly important to them. And it's almost like the outer world is finally reflecting my inner thoughts. And that is the coolest thing ever. It's almost like a confirmation, like, yes, you're on the right track. It's not you that's crazy, it's everything else. So, INFP, you have superpowers. A lot of your thoughts and ideas may have seemed radical before, but not now. Now is when everybody needs it. And I think our ability to envision a world, a better world, it may seem like we're always off in fantasy land, maybe sometimes being a little bit too optimistic, but being off in that fantasy land helps us reimagine a different type of future. And I think that's what's needed the most right now is hope and a vision for a better future. So I think INFPs are the ones to help bring that vision in. While we're used to going along, dealing with our own problems, looking inwardly and constantly questioning ourselves, why this? Why do I feel this way? What makes me feel this way? And all of that internal dialogue, while we're constantly doing that, it always allows us to have kind of a pulse on our own soul. And that right there, I feel, is a little bit more comforting. And maybe some other people don't have that. People are really struggling. They are going through death and having to deal with death, having to deal with death alone, sickness. There is a lot of inequity going on and a lot of hate because of that. Now more than ever, we need the healer personality in the world. And before, I kind of always shied away from it. I didn't really understand. I mean, now I'm noticing that friends and family, their conversations with me are getting more to their core, and they're expressing their fears, their doubts. And I realize that my interaction with them and the way I speak with them, it's very much like, no, it's gonna be okay. It's fine. We're gonna make it through it. And I only know this and feel this because despite what's going on in the outside world, it's almost like whatever events are happening, you control how you deal with it, how you feel with it, how you process it. You decide the best steps to take. And you're always going to have crazy things being thrown at you. But if you can have a little bit of self-awareness and mostly just pause, you can almost ride those different waves. And I think being this healer may seem like some abstract thing, but it's simply just like picking up that phone call, even if you yourself are feeling very drained of energy, but just picking up that phone call and talking with that friend, talking through a situation, just being there while others are dealing with these dark themes. We've been rehearsing this as INFPs, in our heads and in our own little worlds. We've mentally and emotionally rehearsed all these different feelings over and over. So now it is time for us to take center stage. It's interesting because they say that INFPs can make good leaders, and maybe before in my life I didn't really understand how that played in completely. I've been in a couple leadership roles and I thought, yeah, I guess I did an okay job, but I think now is a time when INFP leadership is needed, because we don't lead in terms of you do this and you do that, but it's more like, come, let me bring everyone together, and in a way that is nurturing and emotionally available to everyone. And I think that is where INFP leadership just shines. So now we can be the leader, the shaman, the inspirational speaker, the counselor, and especially the listener. The world is quickly changing. It will not look the same way on the other side. And this is an amazing opportunity for INFPs to help everyone envision what it's going to look like on the other side. If we have to rebuild this world, then let's rebuild it in a way that is nurturing to everyone. The world got dark for us to find our light. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, let me know with a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more. I'm finally back on the train again. If you like INFP videos, I've already made a couple, and there are going to be a couple more coming pretty soon, so stay tuned. Until next time.